Chase the Chuck Wagon was released on the Atari 2600 by SpectraVision in 1983. It wasn't available in stores. The only place you could get this game was via mail order from Purina, so long as you sent them proof of purchase of their dog food products. You ever heard of a game that you got through dog food? Well, you have now. Naturally, you play as a dog, who's named Chucky, and guide him through the mazes leading to a chuck wagon at the end, hence the title. In these mazes are the dog catchers, who you certainly figured out right away are your enemies. If they catch you, you lose a life, and you start with 3. The other hazard is the spazoid that's supposed to be a bouncing bone, which you would think would be an item you'd collect for points considering you're a dog and everything. I mean, this is another Pac-Man clone after all, so why not? But it actually freezes you. What? You're frozen for a short period of time, but that can be enough for the dog catcher to get you if he's even in the area, because by default, he just hovers around the same vicinity for a little while like a dolt before eventually migrating his way to where you are. This bone thing is definitely more of an obstacle because it's quite fast, and although it can't cost you a life like the dog catcher does, you also have a time limit to contend with of either 60 or 30 seconds, depending on the difficulty setting. So losing time by being frozen obviously prevents you from gaining ground in that regard. After finishing the maze, you get a bonus round where you have to catch a bowl of dog food out of the chuck wagon by awkwardly lining up Chucky with the food. It's one of the lamest bonus rounds I've ever seen in my life. Aside from the 2 different time limit settings, there aren't any other variations or game modes. And although there are 4 different mazes with variety in their layouts, quantity doesn't equal quality. It may look like a mediocre bare bones maze game, but that's giving it too much credit. Moving around the maze is janky as hell, mainly because you're not locked within the grid of the walls, which makes simple turns an inconvenience because you can essentially crash into the side of the wall. Ironically, you have too much freedom within your control. It makes movements way too sloppy and it feels unnatural. The programmer Mike Schwartz was given a very short amount of time to complete the game, and he claimed that he cobbled the shit together in 3 days, Frankensteining some of the coding from Artillery Duel to expedite the process. But you can definitely tell it was rushed, and Schwartz himself even apologized for the quality of the game, citing the lack of time as the primary reason, which, yeah, you can't make a masterpiece in 3 days unless you're talking about the first Black Sabbath album, or the original 1960 version of Little Shop of Horrors. It wasn't heavily invested in like E.T. or Pac-Man, but there were still a lot of copies that didn't fly off the shelves, and all of them were destroyed, leaving the remaining copies that were mailed out as one of the rarer games of the system. Although Atari Age, aka the holy bible of all things Atari, doesn't rank it in the tippy-top tier of rarity, but the game is quite infamous for its rarity and the backstory, not to mention the unusual theme of the game in general.
Yes, some of us are different. It's just something in our blood. There's no need for explanations. It's just dogs on the run.